Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Similar format to yesterday's video. The only thing left to water out here is the mounts, and as I've got to water all of them, I thought it's an opportunity to go over them and just have a chat about what's going on. The reason I've been heavy on the watering is that for the rest of today I really have got to get on with that talk. There's me thinking it's the second Saturday in April and Lynn's emails come round telling everybody about the next meeting and how wonderful my talk's going to be that I haven't started yet. And it suddenly dawned on me the way the calendar works, the second Saturday in April is the 8th. So I've got one day left in this month. 9 days, whatever, I haven't got many days left, and I need time to post it on YouTube for you good people to have a look through and make sure I haven't made any silly billies, and redo it as a consequence. So time's getting short, so I have to crack on with that. So I wanted all my watering out of the way, all of the rest of today and probably most of tomorrow, because nothing will need watering tomorrow. So that's the theory. 2 good goes at it over 2 days will get the worst of it done, I suspect, if not all of it. Once I put my mind to something, it gets done. Right, mounts. Right, I pulled this one over here so that I can get at both sides, because that one goes back against that rock, and in addition to that it's less walking. They're just going to get done in order the way I would normally do. This is Dendrobium Tortilly, and up until now its only signs of life are these 2 flower buds. I assume they're flower buds. There's no reason to see why not. But on closer inspection today, the nubbins in other places are starting to push out, and in addition to that there are some nubbins showing on the older canes. So no sign of life at the base, so we've got no regrowth there, but we do have nubbins pushing on the canes. So we'll get a few more flowers than I at first thought. Now this, because somebody's bound to ask, is a relatively low level feed. It's MSU only. It's basically TDS of 175 and it's going in at a pH of 6.3. It's going in at 6.3 instead of my usual aim, which is 6.5, for the very reason it's a low volume of water, and if I put another drip of my pot sill in there it would take it up to about 7.5, I expect, because it's such a small volume of water. So I had to put up with 6.3. Now this is my worry because there's no sign of flowers coming yet. There's no sign of life at the base. This is the one we looked at yesterday, or Sunday, whenever. And this is Dendrobium primulinum, and it's the variety Laos. This has never been a strong growing plant since I bought it home, such that when I bought it home I wasn't even sure it was the real thing, because the canes are so short. They should be 2-3 times as long as this, and they're not. It's never grown well. Nonetheless, I'm going to water it anyway, even though there's no sign of life on this plant whatsoever. I looked it up. This time last year it was actually in bloom, and we haven't even got any nubbins at the moment, so I'm not happy with that one. As I am not happy with this one. This is the little one that went in the kitchen for a while to stop it dying of cold. It's not growing. It's back out here now because the daytime temperatures are more suited for it. I don't think it's going to make it personally. It's a Cattleya brevipedenculata. It's a shame actually because that was a gift. Never mind, we do what we can. You know, you can't win them all, as they say. Now this is my Mexicoa. And it's not a strong plant, but it's been given a reasonable winter rest. The idea being that it does come from dry oak forests, and they really are dry in the winter, so it can go very long periods without water. And at the moment there's no sign of growth on it, so I'm going to miss that one out. got a spray last time. Now this is Dendrobium harveyanum, one of my favourite dendrobiums, and it's coming back into growth. Got a new growth here with some roots starting, new growth here, and a growth here with a new one coming from the base. Plus there's another one up here. So this one's coming back into growth. So we'll give that a helping hand. Doesn't look a very strong plant, but I haven't had it a ridiculous amount of time. So that's that. And next we have Cattleya, or Sophronitis as was, Cernua, and that's had a bad year, very bad year. No blooms this time round, and it's got to come off this mount and be rejuvenated. It's in a state, basically, it's not growing. It only had a couple of new growths this year, 2 of which have rotted off, and none of them bloomed. You can see the little buds. So that is in a bad way. It needs revamping. So it needs to come off of that mount and go on to another one. And I'm not sure watering it is doing it any good at all because it's not growing. But then I don't want what's left to shrivel up. So that's why that got some. And then the last one on the top here is my only Arengus that I've got left. This is growing. This has got new roots coming out in various places, so this is coming back to life after its quiet period through the winter due to the lower temperatures. And I'd expect this to bloom sometime down the line. It's multiple plants. There's 2, 3, probably 4 separate plants on there. It was probably just a handful that came out of the flask all stuck together and just got grown on together. So that's how it's ended up, as a clump, a group. So that's that. And then over here, this is Tetragonum. Whether it's the Gigantea variety, I don't know. It didn't say that when I got it. This pushed out some new roots in the winter. There's no sign of life at the base, but the leaves look good, looks healthy, and has yet to bloom for me. So what I'd like from that this year is 1 or 2 new growths and a much better root system. If it doesn't bloom, I don't care. I just want the plant to be healthy. Because obviously that's not quite so happy in the winter because of the lower temperatures. And then the last one on this side is this monster, which hasn't got a tag. I forget what this is. I must get a tag on this. It's a plant that I decided would probably grow better hanging, and it didn't. You know, the new growths that came after that were this one, and now this one, which is bolt upright. So this is obviously its preferred way of growing, which consequently means these 2 canes probably will never bloom because they're upside down. This grew some roots last year. It's currently not doing anything, and again has yet to bloom. But that would prefer warmer temperatures than I've got, so I would suggest it's effectively gone dormant and stopped all activity because of the lower temperatures. But now the longer days are here and I'm forcing the temperatures up, I'd expect to see some new growth on this soon. So that's that one. Now around the other side, we haven't got much. Right, this is Dendrobium Lindley Eye, and we're going to have a close study now. Nope, I don't see any spikes yet. I don't mean to say there aren't any, they can hide. But I don't see any spikes yet. So that's not come back to life yet. But nonetheless, I'm going to try and force it. That's what I'm doing with all the resting dendrobiums. I'm basically, instead of like the books say, wait until you see new growth, I'm saying, well, it's the time of year when you ought to be doing it, so let's get on with it. So they're getting water and a bit of feed, even though they haven't come back into growth. The idea being that the long days, the rise in temperature, and the arrival of the rainy season is going to get them back into growth. So that's the plan. Right, now this one, which has got no tag on it, yes it has. This is a phyllum. Now this one's got lots of buds all over the place. The kikis down the bottom here, which will get planted up there when I get round to it, have got buds on. So we've got buds down here. Looks like we might have buds here. We've got a bud up here. So we've got buds on this. This will come back into bloom, and that is, Nina has just notified me that that is the subject of the next care collab, or a care collab, whether it's the next one or not. Now what I have to do with these kikis is careful not to knock the buds off, but give them a dip in the water just to get those roots wet. And then come back to the top of the plant, because there's aerial roots up here as well. And then we don't forget the actual plant itself and get those watered. So again, this has got very little in the way of active growth as far as new canes are concerned, but those would normally come either during blooming or after blooming, so I'm not worried that they're not there. But you know, we need to give the buds a helping hand. Now this is my Hercoglossum. Now this doesn't look as good as it has done at this time of year in previous years. It is a straggly plant. There are canes on here that are probably not going to bloom again, but until I go past the blooming period, I'm not prepared to cut them off in case they do, because they can bloom on 2 or 3 consecutive years on the same cane. But what this plant didn't do was push out quite a few new growths. So that's the bit that's missing on this plant, is new growths from the base that would have been growing on through this winter. They didn't materialise. I mean, the plant's not dead, it's just not doing as well as it has done. It got remounted last year and it did produce some new roots. So I would think that when this comes back into growth this year, it will again rejuvenate the roots, get some new ones going and push on. But again, there's no sign of actual growths at the base and no sign of buds yet, but it's a bit early for this one. This is one of the later blooming dendrobiums. So we'll see what that does. The increase in temperatures could bring that back to life, who knows. And then over here is my not doing so well Jenkins Eye. This was put on this fibre board thing as an experiment. It needed repotting anyway. Now this has got spikes, and every year we play the game, spot the spikes. You won't spot them because they're minute, but there's one there on the end of my finger. You might just be able to see the pale green there, and there's a couple up in there as well. So this one's got some spikes coming, and this one has always bloomed earlier than Lindley Eye. It always has done, you know, that's just how this one goes. It's always the first of the two to bloom. I don't think it's going to be a really good blooming this year. I mean, the disturbance to take it off of its old mount and put it on this board was actually quite dramatic. But hopefully this year it's grown some roots. Some of those roots are down into the board, so this year's growing season should push that one on. But we'll have a few blooms while we're waiting. Right, now onto the back rack. Now this is Dendrobium Nesta, no sign of life at the base. The 2 canes that started late last year and nowhere near the full length, they may or may not bloom. And we have a couple of kikis on here as well, which I'll pull back up to the top. But that's not doing as well as it has done in the past by any means. That just objected to the change in environment and didn't grow very good. The new growth started late, and then having started late, didn't complete their growth. You know, they're not full-size canes. And that has a knock-on effect, two knock-on effects. Firstly, because they're not full-size canes, the plant hasn't gained as much strength in that growing season as it ought to have done. And secondly, the canes are probably not strong enough to bloom. Now this one you might not recognise. This is Signatum, and it's a relatively new acquisition. It's decided to grow a few kikis. This one is close enough that the roots hopefully will get into the base and that will form a new plant. There's a little growth there that may or may not be a flower spike, I don't know. There's nubbins showing on this cane, sort of here and here. I can't imagine they're all kiki, so I think this is going to bloom down the line. No sign of new growths at the base of the canes. So, but again, if there's stirrings, something is going on if nubbins are pushing out. So we give it a push. Right, so it's all round that side. And the other side, these are the ones that get the brightest light. They're facing the light basically at the top of the rack. Now this is a Rankervola David Saunders. It's a Brasso cross of some description, probably got Medosa in it. Relatively new. No new growths at the moment. It has had new growths and it has produced a few new roots. Again, that would be classed as a warmer, bright light type plant, so obviously not done that well in the winter, but not gone downhill. So I think that will come back into life soon. Fingers crossed and all that. Now this Cattleya is in a bad way. It has produced some new growths, but obviously compared with the size they should be, they're quite pathetic. But nonetheless they're there, and they haven't rotted at the base or anything. So maybe with the warmer temperatures that will come back into growth. It produced one new root, singular, off of those two new growths. I don't know what it is. It was one of the ones that got messed about with when the tags didn't get put back on. So I don't know what it is until such time as it may bloom again, if it lasts that long. And then this one, in this sorry state, this has suffered. Those leaves I've just taken off on this cane, this is the only new cane it's got. The top of that cane is soft. So I'm going to have to take it off because it's rotting. I won't take the whole cane off. Just take it back to where it's green. And this is Freeduction Hannah, and it's not doing very well at all. But I think it will come back. It's got this one new cane, which it has pushed on okay, and is still growing. Yeah? And there's no sign of buds. No sign of life at the base, so this is effectively dormant at the moment. It's not doing very well at all. But I'm hoping, having remounted it last year, the disturbance is what it's suffering from, and when we get to the growing season proper, hopefully it will start growing early enough to get some decent sized canes. And this has got a load of aerial roots tucked in behind those canes. So I have to make sure they get wet. And we'll see what that one does. If I lose that, that is obviously irreplaceable because it was an awarded plant in its day. It's suffered badly since then. But not lost. Still with me. This is BC Make. This was lost. It's actually a Brasso Anther, I believe now. Anyway, it was always called BC Make. That's how everybody recognises it. And this one suffered badly, really bad with the scale, and wasn't doing very well in its pot, so we decided, well, let's give it a go on a mount. So it got put on a mount. It's got a small new growth here. It has grown some new roots, and at the moment it's sitting there doing nothing. Again, it's probably a bit too chilly for it to burst into life yet. We'll see how that one does. Not lost. And then this Cattleya does actually have a name. It's actually an Epicap, Volcano Trick Orange Fire, and it has grown quite a few new roots. This was the latest growth, and there's no sign of new growth yet, although there is an eye there. But it's okay. You know, it's capable of coming back to life as the warmer weather comes and the longer days, and hopefully will produce a new growth, and the next new growth ought to bloom. That will be its first blooming if it does. We shall see. That's that one, and then last one over here. It's alright, something just landed on my hair. I've still got that thing about the spiders in here, but they're long since gone. I think I just caught my hair on the plant above that I've just put back, and the drip went in my hair. Now, this has got no tag. It is a Dendrobium, and I'm pretty sure it's glomeratum. It has a single cane that is still growing, and it has produced some new roots, but there's no new canes forming at the moment. It's got some roots, there are some new ones there that have started to grow, and it has a cane with some leaves on. So we'll see what happens to that one. I don't think I've had that one too long. Right, let me push that one back into that corner so that this one can go round flat. It goes round here like this, so that when the heater comes on it doesn't blast it straight directly at those plants. The heater is aimed at the door. Yeah? Now, okay, the cymbidiums are there, but in that area, but by the time it gets to there, the circulating fan's already wafted it, so it's already broken up the, you know, the line of fire, so to speak. Right, I expect my coffee's stone cold now. That's a bit of warmth left in it. Right, so that's the watering done now. Everything has had water over the last few days, so nothing needs watering tomorrow, which means I've got a clear run tomorrow. I'm hoping to get a bonsai repot done. I may use that as a break later today, or certainly a couple of breaks maybe tomorrow, sort of do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, but I must get started. And that'll do for today. So my plans for video as far as the orchid world is concerned tomorrow, there may not be one. There's a break in the project orchids because of the way the calendar works. I know it's Friday tomorrow, but the project orchids don't have a video tomorrow. They will restart the following Friday with plant 1. And then we'll see what it looks like, you know, whatever that is, 9 weeks on from last time we looked at it. So that'll be that. So I have no plans for videos over the next few days. It'll be whatever comes up. So anyway, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.